And now it is time for the best of the best. Let's get things rolling with number 10, Street Fighter 6. I've always enjoyed me some Street Fighter. I'm not gonna say I'm super great at it, but my background of Street Fighter, it really started with Marvel vs. Capcom because I love those games so much, and then it made me curious about the Street Fighter series, so I went from there. And man, after Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6 is such a turnaround. It's just amazing, because I think it was time for them to find a new identity, because I think with the last few games, they're just kind of the same, but here, it feels brand new. It feels like a new start, almost like a reboot in a way, which is ironic coming from another fighting game we'll be talking about later. But yeah, I just love the artistic style. Just really again, emphasis on street, actually people fighting on the streets. And so the thing that is probably the main campaign of the game is where you go through all these different worlds, power leveling up and becoming the strongest fighter there is. And it's kind of hilarious. It reminds me of Pokemon in a way, but instead of actually battling with small creatures and all that stuff, you're just fighting with your fists, and everybody seems to get really into it. You just go up to anybody. It's like, hey, let's have a street fight, and it's perfectly okay. It's like, I don't know if I'd want to live in that world, because I think I'd get my ass kicked on a regular basis. But I think they just upgraded the mechanics for a modern audience. They have these parry type of things. I'm trying to remember. I haven't played it in a while. I'm trying to go off memory here, but it's just they introduced new things like this energy system or something where it's you can parry attacks or do strong attacks, but if the bar goes down, then you have to wait to recover and stuff like that. There's a risk and reward system that I think they blend in perfectly, but they still have, the usual control set up with Street Fighter with your special moves and all that stuff. They introduce they really reimagine the original characters, and I don't know, make them feel more like if they were in the real world instead of these over-the-top outfits they have and stuff like that. And sort of with, I don't know, I guess these characters feel more real than before, and they've been through a lot in their journey. Especially Ryu looks really cool, with his beard and stuff. He's been on a journey for a long time, and he's just learned so much. At this point, he's just the master. You can't compete with him. But yeah, so like I said, the main campaign is kind of an RPG type of thing, which I thought was fine, but there is a lot of grinding to do in it, so you're going to be spending a lot of your time doing it. And the story in it was alright, because it really focuses on a character you create, and then this rival you have. Again, there's these parallels to Pokemon. It's really weird, but so yeah, you have this rival character, and you and this rival character get caught up in this gang and all this weird stuff going on, and by the end he has to sacrifice himself. But I feel you don't get that much time with this character to sort of form a deep connection with your main character, because he's in it for a little bit, but then he's out, and you're just trying to find him and all that stuff. But I feel you haven't got that much time with him, so it doesn't feel as impactful when he makes his sacrifice at the end, because he has a bomb or something strapped to him or something. I don't remember the exact details, but they take the stuff that makes him super tough or something like that. It's really strange, but I think the journey is a lot of fun. Meeting up, being able to sort of be like any Street Fighter character you want. You get to master the sensei's moves and stuff. They don't really have much of an impact on the play. Some do, but others don't. You just for Ryu, who's the face of the franchise, to have sort of an important role, but no, he's just there to offer his advice. Although I love the interactions, though, especially with Ryu, because it's funny, because he doesn't know how to use a cell phone, but then he's hey, I'm starting to figure this out. So I don't know, it's nice because all the previous Street Fighter games, they always take place either immediately after Street Fighter 2 or before another one. But this time around, it's the farthest. It's this is the newest part of the timeline, whereas this is the farthest. So we get to see these characters actually grow and see how they've changed over the years. And I don't know, spending time with them, I always thought was the real nice point of the game. But again, there's just a lot of grinding to do. You're gonna the first few chapters aren't too bad, but then all of a sudden there's no steady increase. The level just goes vroom, and then you just have to go and keep beating up more people for experience points. So again, it's kind of like a mixed bag with that campaign. But again, there's a lot of other features that Street Fighter 6 offer. If you're just looking for a fun fighting game, again, I really think the mechanics are a lot tighter and it's just an overall enjoyable experience. So I had a lot of fun with it. It just sort of takes me back to like a time when Street Fighter was like the king of fighting games. You know, it was like, it seemed like nobody else could top it. But then you had all these other big franchises come along, Mortal Kombat, Tekken, all that stuff. But still always have a soft spot in my heart for Street Fighter. So yeah, if you like fighting games, give it a check. Number 9, Warhammer 40k Bolt Gun. I couldn't tell you what happens in this game. It's I never played the Warhammer series. I've never indulged in any of like the content, like any of the other games or their movies or shows or what have you. I know none of it. So I was going to this one completely blind. Just because like it's like, oh, it's like Doom 2016 and like, you know, that'll get me right away. And yeah, this was a fun game. And like, despite the fact that you play as this giant hulking space marine, like he surprisingly moved really quick. But yeah, it's an interesting system how it works. Like first of all, the game looks nice. It looks really nice. It has this like chunkiness to it, which I don't know, I really liked, especially when you kill the enemies and stuff and just like the blood going everywhere. And I'm probably gonna say that a lot with all these first-person shooters I talk about, because that's the thing you want in them. You want some nice giblets in there. But yeah, it's interesting how it works. Like the guns are creative, but like also they kind of have to like match. Like you need a certain level sometimes, which will work better on other enemies. So it's kind of like, again, you have to be smart with how you use your guns. But I do like the variety. You got the bolt gun, of course. You got like a shotgun. You have like this plasma rifle that shoots like these laser rounds, and they have and you pick up unique power-ups for the bolt gun. You can make it do different things. The enemies are also creative. Again, I have no idea what they are from the Warhammer series. I'm sure someone's like, oh yeah, I got that reference. I know what that's from. Not me. I have no idea. But you know, the thing I liked using the most was like, I think it was like a chainsaw or something, but it was like a sword chain. I don't know what it was, but you get to lunge at enemies for it and just like go right down on them. It's so cool. But oh, the guys I hate were what were they called? They're like the champions. Like you shoot down these really heavy set guys that follow you around and can do massive damage, but if you don't kill them in time, they come back even stronger and more annoying. Like you have to really make sure that they're dead. It's like, oh, it was so annoying. But it definitely had that feeling of Doom 2016 where you go from one place to another, go through arenas, just some good levels. But I think the problem is, and it's an unfortunate thing with first-person shooters, especially ones that try to, you know, recapture the magic of the original. It has some cookie-cutter designs, especially towards the end. It gets very slow, and yeah, just by the time, it's kind of a problem I did with Doom 2016 as well. But like by the end, you kind of get burnt out because you're going from one thing to another. It becomes predictable. Although there are some unique puzzles in there, like. There's this one where you have to go to these portals and you have to find the right way to go. But then again, some other times you have like places that repeat and like there's no map or anything. And then you're looking around and like, wait, was I here already? I don't know. But yeah, again, you know, especially the guns. There's this other like gun that I used too. It was not like, it was like the bolt gun. It was like bigger, but it shot like like that. Like more slower shots, but that was an awesome gun. Yeah, there's a lot of good guns. But also we have the bosses as well, which were fine. But again, I think they go on a little too long because they're just like heavy bullet sponges, especially the final boss who you have to fight like a bunch of different times. And even at the end, you're just kind of he has like a bunch of different phases and all that. It's just like, oh, come on. I just want to get to the end already. So that's never a good sign when you say that, because you want to keep playing. You never want it to end. That should be the disappointing thing when a good game ends. It's like, that was it? Really? I want more, damn it. But for what it was fine. Don't expect me to know anything about the story or anything, because again, I have no idea what's going on. I've never played I've never played Warhammer before, but For what it is, it's fun. It's tries to encapsulate the feeling of an old school first person shooter, but it has those modern embellishes as well. Again, very akin to Doom 2016. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. I'm sure if you're a Warhammer fan, you'll get a lot more out of it than me. Number 8, RoboCop Rogue City. I'd buy that game for $1. No, seriously, I would buy that game for $1 just to save a lot of money. It'd be great, you know. But man, this company has made such a 360. These are the same guys that made the terrible Rambo game, you know, the one with "He's a man, not a god. Come on, comrades. He's a man, not a god." Yeah, it's like it shows that like there's like heart there, like almost every video game company, but there's always something that's gonna pull them down. But they saw the problems with the game and they realized, hey, we love these action games, these 80s action movies that we grew up with, so let's actually really try to pay respect to them. So they did the Terminator games, Terminator Resistance, I think it was called. Name on screen if I got it wrong. But I think they really nailed it out of the park with RoboCop. And the fact they did get the original voice to do RoboCop again, and it really fits here. I know he's old and stuff, but it works so well for, you know, he's RoboCop. He has to talk like a robot, so what do you expect, creeps? But yeah, there's a lot of really good things about it, and like, it's complicated, like the gameplay, but it's not like overly complicated. Like, I feel like once you get the hang of things, it's easy to get into, and like it stays true to the, well, let's start out with like the story elements, because it really stays true to what makes RoboCop great. Now, from my understanding, I've only seen the first one. I saw the remake too, it was okay, but it takes place after the second one, I believe, and it does like fill in the gaps, because there's this character called the Old Man who never appeared in RoboCop 3, but it explains his absence. So these are people who really did their homework. But on top of that, it really captures the comedy too, because RoboCop, like, it has its serious moments, but it's also supposed to be kind of like a parody of, as well as like sort of like that lifestyle at the time, and it just has some really good, again, the comedy is really good. Like, there's this one dude who wants to get reward money for capturing a criminal, and it turns out to be himself. And it's like, hey, can I get like a less of a sentence for this at the very least? Well, also there's this one guy who's like, he says like, I'm causing a disturbance, but I don't know why. I keep shouting my dog's name, which is Fire. So it's like, again, the comedy is top notch, but I think they also do a good job of developing the characters. And the thing I like too is like with sort of Alex Murphy, I know they kind of retread on old stuff from the other movies, but especially with when he's talking to the therapist, and they really have deep meaning conversations about what it means to be, are you a human or a robot and all that stuff. And some of your choices can impact the ending, since I think most of these characters were introduced just to you know, and they at the end they go on to do their own thing, because then because obviously if they stayed along, that would kind of contradict things in RoboCop 3 a little bit, don't you think? And actually, I did a whole review with that with my friend Rob. So if you want to see our full thoughts on that, you can go. I'll put a link in the description below so you guys can go watch that. But yeah, especially on the combat, you get RoboCop's trusty gun, but you can also get some of the other guns as well, which are fun to use. But there's like what am I trying to say? It's like, I still think RoboCop's main gun is the one to use, because you could upgrade it, and when you get like the right upgrades for it, it just becomes an unstoppable force, and you can just like shoot everything down, and just like, oh, it's just a lot of fun to use. You can just detect criminals and then just shoot them and watch them turn into, again, bloody pulp. So, and some people might get turned off by the fact that it's a slower paced game compared to your Dooms, your Turbo Overkills or something like that, but RoboCop, that's the whole idea. You want to feel like a robot, this unstoppable force that no one can mess with, and they do such a good job, especially with the way RoboCop moves in the game too. It's like, you feel it, you feel super powerful, but you're not like invincible either, you know? It's funny because like, I think especially the visuals, from just like the backgrounds, the cities, all that stuff, they look really good, and models there, okay? They try to represent the characters from the movie well, and do a decent job, but again, it's kind of like the atmosphere. The thing I loved about the atmosphere in RoboCop is just kind of how grungy and disgusting it is. And even though you know who you are, you're RoboCop, you're unstoppable, no one's gonna mess with you. When I was like walking down the street at night, I felt so unnerved. I felt like someone was gonna pop out and just like try to attack me, even though I just, boom, one bullet to the head and they're gone. But that's what it did well, just capture the atmosphere of RoboCop. Like I said, the mechanics work well too, like the ways you level up RoboCop. They work pretty well, though some I feel you didn't need. Like, a lot of times you could kind of just brute force your way through certain situations, and you didn't really need, like, stuff like, getting a better, like, interrogation stuff. And that's the cool thing you have to do, too. You get to actually be a cop. It's not just shooting bad guys, it's RoboCop. A cop doesn't just shoot stuff, I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. It's about collecting evidence and going around talking to people. I think there are a lot of likable characters. Like, there's this kid who, he starts out, he's like a new member of he joins the force. I think he's with like I forget the name of the company that sponsors him. It like starts with an O. Put it down below. I'm terrible with names. But, yes, I think OCD? No, not OCD. That's something completely different. But, you know what I mean. He starts out there, and you, depending on your choices, you can befriend him. And RoboCop, he comes sort of like a mentor to this kid, and it's really sort of like heartwarming. And then, of course, you get your partner as well. And again, there's a lot of great dialogue with her as well. And just, again, the character interactions are just great. Especially the one character that I always remembered was Pickles. Just because he's this guy down on his luck, always getting into trouble. But dang it, he has like a good heart to him, and he's always willing to help, especially after you find out that this officer was frozen to death, and I guess he's put in cold storage, because it's part of this larger operation going on where they're trying to create, like, I guess create multiple RoboCops and stuff like that, but it's like, or machine people in general, and it's just, there's a lot of layers to this, surprisingly. I mean, the thing is, I can't really think of too much to fault it for. I think it did a really good job, but I guess, again, it's like, after so many times, like, I feel like it has enough there to try to keep you interested, but by the end, you kind of get tired of it. And I feel like there was something else, too, I feel. I don't know. Maybe I've just tried to be nitpicky just for the sake of being nitpicky. But, again, I really enjoyed what they had on offer, and it was just a major improvement especially from Terminator Resistance to this. There's just a lot of fun to be had with it, and a lot of respect it has for the source material. And, they got the music, too, from RoboCop, especially the last level, where, when there's this whole thing, shit goes to hell, and the entire city is in chaos, like the Purge, pretty much, so. And you have all these police officers, even though they've been, like, fired from their jobs, which that's something you shouldn't do. But, the main guy, he effed up big time on that. The main villain in the game. And, so he really just, effed up. All the police is fired. Crime is running rampant. But then the crew, they all start to work together. And then it's like their last stand against criminals. And then you hear the RoboCop theme playing, and you're so excited, and then you take your gun out and you start shooting everybody, and it's so awesome. one hilarious bit, there are two more hilarious bits. One was where you had to defuse a bomb. Oh yeah, the defusing bomb thing was really weird, because you'd think it would be straightforward, but I tried to do it the way they told me to do it, but that didn't work. So I don't know. So I guess some of the instructions are kind of unclear in that regard, but for the most part, you kind of get a clear understanding of what you're supposed to do. So you gotta go defuse this bomb, and for some reason, they decided to have all of these exploding barrels around, so if it goes off, it's like, boom, everything goes to hell. But it's like, so what are they gonna do? They're gonna have their guns ready to shoot. I'm like, oh yeah, they're good marksmen, they're not gonna hit one of those barrels and make it go kablooey. And then with the main guy, who, I forget his name, he's called, like, I just call him the new guy, that's what they call him at first, the new guy, where they're supposed to pretend he's supposed to be related to the guy that killed Alex Murphy in the original, but it was just a whole trick, just to make him traumatized. He does some really stupid things, too, like, he thinks he leaves RoboCop to die, and like he also tells him about the chip that he has installed to keep RoboCop from doing anything, and then he tells his master blade, he's monologuing again, just like in The Incredibles. So there's that, and so then RoboCop, the gang comes, the RoboCop's friends come, they save him, they remove the chip, and then, you know, he's screwed. So then, like, he runs out of funds for, like, all the security he has. I think that's what it was. And so the security guys, they leave. They aren't able to help him. And then he holds up a switch, which he can use to activate all of his deadly robots. And you think, oh, okay, RoboCop's just going to shoot the remote out of his hand. And then, boom, he just shoots his whole arm off. And I just started cracking up at that. It was amazing. It's like, I guess I wouldn't expect any less from RoboCop. But then there was the final boss as well, which... it was interesting because he didn't have control of anything, because I guess he thought it was the old man, and he's part RoboCop too. So there was that, and like I think he thought the things were going to go successfly, but he ended up going out of control, and then they end up having their final battle, which wasn't bad. And then you know, you could try and save him at the end if you win, but you know you can't. Regardless, he explodes, he dies because the building collapses because it caused so much damage. And then that's the end of it, and then you see what becomes of everybody that you either helped or you were just like an asshole to the entire time. But yeah, just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that game. And again, I hope they go on to do other things. I was talking to Rob about it. We were thinking maybe Judge Dredd might be a good one. I'm trying to think of another like 80s action type of thing. Well, that was more in the 90s, but still, you could probably do something with that. Although there was a decent Judge Dredd first-person shooter, but I don't know. It certainly was better than... RoboCop, at least, this new one, is certainly better than when Titus made their attempts with it, the Superman 64 guys, and oh boy, that's a whole other can of worms. But yeah, I had such a great time with it. It's definitely worth it. Check it out. Number 7, Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat! Yes, now we're talking. Love me some Mortal Kombat. I mean, you know, back when I was a kid with my dumb child brain, it was hard to figure out the moves. Like, I want to rip off that man's spine now, please. Can I do that? But, you know, over time it evolved, and especially with Mortal Kombat 9, it sort of rebooted the franchise and then took it in a new direction, but really giving a lot more depth to these characters. Not I'm saying previous games didn't, but I don't know, I just thought to me it added so much more. It just really refined the combat system. And then I played a bit of 10, which was fine too, but I didn't play 11 because I heard that game had some problems. But hey, you know, you can't go wrong with having both the Terminator and RoboCop in that game too. It's like, oh look, we're going back to RoboCop again. But yeah, so at the end of Mortal Kombat 11, Liu Kang, he becomes the god of fire and thunder. Okay, don't show off too much there, Liu Kang. And pretty much restarts the timeline again. But now he kind of has control over how he wants things to go. So he can do different things and give the characters a better life and stuff like that. And it's interesting to see the world that he created. And that's where Mortal Kombat 1 comes in. And I think they did a good job with the combat. I think why I like it a bit more than Street Fighter is because, I don't know, something about it feels more like straightforward. It's more simplified, but not like too simplified. You can still do all those crazy combos, but like something about it just feels tighter than compared to Street Fighter 6. And again, the campaign I think is a lot stronger than the one in Street Fighter 6, just because it's a really good story, I think, with all these characters. Because Liu Kang, he tries to give the best life for all these characters, except for like Shang Tsung, but even that comes back to bite him in the ass. I guess, you know, I think it was trying to say that, you know, no matter what you do, you can't be perfect, even if you have all this power and stuff. But I think it kind of butchered it a little bit, because it's like, because the Shang Tsung gets outside interference to kind of get all his power back and all that stuff. But it turns out the twist is it's another Shang Tsung. Apparently, even though he resetted the entire timeline, apparently the multiverse still exists. It got weird towards the end, but like, the first 2/3 are where it's really the strongest, because again, these characters are so likable, and you go on this journey with them, and you want to see good things happen. You don't want to see, you know, the nether realms and the earth realm and all that stuff. You don't want to see them fall apart. You want to see everybody at peace with one another. And then I think especially like the second half, like the second act of the game, because you have like Johnny Cage, you have Kenshi, you have Kung Lao. They go on this adventure to try and figure out what Shang Tsung's doing, but it feels just like an adventure where they encounter all these different characters, and then they meet people like Reptile, who you feel bad for because he's a prisoner under General, it's Shao Kahn. I think was it General Shao, I think he's called in this one. I mean, I prefer Khan. But yeah, so again, you go this journey of all these characters, and even Melina and Katana, they have an actual sisterly relationship that feels genuine. But she's supposed to take over the throne, but she's having her own problems as well, and she has to get through that as well. And Sindel is really cool in this one as well. She's like so badass because she tries to be nice and stuff, like a nice queen, but like you see this look on her face and just the voice she has, like she has this commanding presence where, like, if you cross me, you are dead right where you stand. She will scream every part of you off. But it's nice to see all these characters just have like a new twist and go on this journey together, all so likable. Like even Raiden, he's kind of in the role of the Liu Kang character this time around, where he's the up and coming combat contestant. He has to go on a journey to fight all these competitors in Mortal Kombat and stuff. It's really great stuff, just seeing everything in a different light. I mean, sometimes it rushes through with some reveals, like with Ermac and revealing that it's actually Katana and oh my god, why am I blanking? Katana and Melina's father. Like, I know they set that up, but even kind of the reunions kind of like sped through really quick, But yeah, then, like I said, the first two acts are really good, but then it's the third act that goes bonkers, because they really go crazy with the whole multiverse thing, and like, the best and worst possible ways, because you have all these mixtures of different characters. Like, you have like a female Scorpion, or if like Reptile had, he was a robot, like, he was Robo-Reptile, or whatever I'm trying to say. And it gets so crazy at the end, but the final boss against Shang Tsung is just really underwhelming. You just fight him once, and then that's it. You win, and they wrap up everything so quickly, and it's like, okay, well, let's move on to the next game. It was so weird. But through it all, like I said, the combat is just really solid, I think, this time around. I think it might be my favorite Mortal Kombat. Everything just flows together nicely when you unleash your special moves, you do all sorts of combos and stuff like that. It just felt really good to hit things. And I'm not the best at doing the fatalities, so I had to watch a bunch of them, and yeah, pretty brutal as you would expect for Mortal Kombat.